My name is Jeff Morgan. Yes, I live nearby here, so I wanted to make sure that I got down here to support Shelley Luther and what she's doing. You know, one thing that people don't talk about is where are the cases of coronavirus actually located in America. I checked this morning. There were about 887,000 cases. 51% of the cases were in New York, which has 30%, New Jersey 11%, Massachusetts, and California. So over half of the cases are in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and California. When you look at what's happening in Texas, this is not a Texas problem. Look at the deaths that are caused by coronavirus. Again, right now, you look, as of this morning, there were about 50,000 deaths, 21,000 deaths. 42% of all the deaths took place in New York. And there's another 5,000 some deaths in New Jersey. So between two states, over 53% of the deaths have taken place. The dynamics in New York and New Jersey are much different than the dynamics here.
Well said.
Yes,
well said.
But the question that I have is this. Why are we shutting down Texas for what is basically a New York problem? New York is basically destroying not just the U.S. economy, it's destroying Texas economy, and it's also destroying the world economy. I find it pretty hypocritical when I see Governor Cuomo up there talking about various things that he's going to do. This is, number one, his problem. Again, 42% of the deaths in America due to coronavirus have taken place in his state.
Feel better.
Now, as you talked about with the other person, there is a legitimate coronavirus. There's no doubt about it.
So you're not denying it?
I'm not in the least. But again, looking at the statistic this morning, worldwide right now, there are about 1.8 million active cases, and they said 1.74 million cases are mild cases. Only 60,000 of those cases are severe cases that, you know, could lead to the death or whatever. You also have the fact that if you look at deaths, there are, obviously it's going to affect the elderly more and people that have already pre-existing comorbidities. So for the most part, the whole thing has been a media-driven hysteria that's taking place here. And the problem that happens is this, is because the hysteria grips politicians and they're afraid to go against the hysteria, they make bad public policy. And if you look again at Texas right now, as of this morning, there were a little bit over 500 deaths in Texas, but yet there have now been over 1 million people that are newly unemployed. And when I look at the unemployment numbers, I say this. Each person that's unemployed, that's not just one person. That can be a family. That person may be responsible for 3 or 4 people. So this is impacting many people, and it's not the virus itself. It's government response to the virus. I really did not mind the first 2 weeks if they would have shut things down a little bit to say, what are we dealing with here? But the data, the statistics, the science does not undergird the public policy that we've taken. This is tyrannical. I don't know if you recall, but about a month ago, County Commissioner Clay Jenkins said that if we did not do this, it would be 400,000 deaths in Texas.
430,000.
Yeah, I thought it was more than that. 430,000 deaths. Well, we have a little bit over 500. He's only off by a factor of about 1,000. So maybe he's taken that new math that we have in the public schools. I don't know. But will he ever apologize for being so wrong?
And that 430,000 was for Texas only?
For Texas, absolutely, for Texas.
And we have 500 and something.
But here's what he has done. He has impacted probably several million people that now are being struck by financial hardship. Some people that are being given eviction notices, yes, they're not going to take place right now, but they will eventually operate. Once you have an eviction on your record, how easy is it to get another apartment? And the people that are the most vulnerable people, the lower middle class and whatever, they're the ones that are being exploited for this. They are being exploited because of this. And that's where we need to have people that and I'm not just saying freedom-minded people, I'm just saying people that care about families. We need to look at public policies. How is it impacting our families? And the public policy right now is destroying our families. The problem is, we're not going to see some of this stuff till another 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the road. And we're going to forget about what really happened. We're going to be screaming, we need more government. The government policy has been the problem. We could have solved this. This is a New York problem. This is not a Texas problem. The dynamics in New York are different than here. We did not need to shut down the state. Governor Abbott, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, should immediately reopen the state.
We agree.
And we also agreed to take the proper precautions that you need to take. I decided that I would actually listen to Clay Jenkins and put on a mask.
We like that mask.
And I figured that if everybody started wearing these masks, all of a sudden they would realize, wait a minute here, we're giving the president free publicity. We'll shut this thing down. And all of a sudden the coronavirus will be a figment of history. You know.
What would you say to local politicians that, we've got a lot of local politicians in OpenTexas,
right,
and they're monitoring this, and we support them.
Yeah.
We are pro-politicians. We've got a lot of friends that have made statements to us. But listen, we need some people to get off the fence. So what would you say to them?
So this is a bipartisan issue to begin with. I mean, I thought it was very interesting because you had J.J. Koch, and then also John Wiley Price. Now these two people ideologically are here and here, and they're both saying we are destroying our city. This is not a left issue, it's not a right issue. And again, if we look at this stuff through the eyes of what is it doing to our family and to our society, John Wiley Price, whether you like him or not, and Mr. Koch, whether you like him or not, you know what? They're both talking about legitimate issues. The devastation of the coronavirus is not what's taking place here. It's our response to it. It's what's going to be happening down the road. It's the unemployment. It's the poverty. It's the evictions. It's the fact that, and here's another story that I can tell you, because our hospitals can no longer deal with the non-essential surgeries. Now the hospitals have revenue issues. Nurses are being laid off. You go into the hospitals. I've heard of doctors taking pay cuts. Hospitals in financial crisis. But what really is tragic is this. When you have deaths that take place that could have easily have been solved. I heard a story about a very young child that recently died. And the reality was, because it was considered non-essential, had that child been able to get into the doctor in the hospital, that child would still be living. This media-generated, media-created panic, hysteria, is responsible for deaths. And the people who are responsible for this will always portray themselves as they're caring for other people. Well, their care for other people is killing people, and it's going to be killing and destroying families in the future. So we need to stand up for this. The politicians that I know are the ones that I respect and admire. They're saying open Texas. And I understand that it's a political issue, it's an election year. No matter what position you take, you can be stigmatized, but we need to open Texas. We need the free economy to work. We need to take the precautions. Take the precautions.
So do you believe that you're on the right side of history right now?
I do. But I mean, again, we cannot pre-write history. And nobody knows. Here's something that, this might sound crazy, but every single person that breathes is going to die. So should we now outlaw breathing? Well, that would take care of the problem immediately, right? We live with risk every day of our lives. And what do? We try to mitigate risk. And I know when you look at some of these models that they've been projecting, they've had some of their assumptions wrong, and they've had no reliable data. There was a university professor out of Stanford, university professor of medicine. He said, we have no reliable data. What are you operating on? Can you imagine flying a plane, relying on your instrumentation, and your instrumentation was broken, but you thought it was right? Are you going to get there? You're not going to get there. And this is where you have to have, the hysteria that's been created, apart from science, the pseudoscience that has been taking place here. This is what's going to be killing us. We need to look at the data. The data says right now, 42% of the deaths have occurred in New York. Another 11% have occurred in New Jersey. This is not a Texas issue, but we're going to destroy the Texas economy. And in general, when you see a story, and I'm not saying it may not be a legitimate story, you also need to say is, okay, the attention is here on this story. What is taking place over here? Because it's like if you're in the military and if you're having a plan to engage in a battle, what do? You create a distraction. You create a distraction because you're going to do something over here. But if you get everybody focusing on the distraction, you have a walk in the park. And what's happening right now with a lot of this stuff, it's very ideologically based. You see AOC right now telling people, well, don't go back to work because you're not making enough money. You see Pelosi acting as if, well, you know, I'm surprised that it's really affecting anybody. Of course, she's a multimillionaire who lives in a private estate. You know, let her open up her gates. Let her open up her walls around her property and say, everybody come in here. We're going to use our millions of dollars to feed you. This is hypocrisy when she's willing to take taxpayer money and do something, but she's not willing to take her own. She has no skin in the game. The only skin in the game she has is her re-election, which is almost guaranteed from where she lives anyway. But look at her district too. It's like Elijah Cummings and these other people. Look at what you're doing. You're not taking care of your people. And it's very easy to say we're going to take care of the American people. It's this nebulous concept. Nobody knows what you're talking about, but it is an ideological sort of thing. And the data that we have right now, I would say open Texas, open Dallas, open America.
Thank you. That's a great word. Say your name one more time.
My name is Jeff Morgan. I'm from Dallas, and I will be there tomorrow.
Thank you, Jeff. Oh my goodness, thank you. We didn't count on that. So tomorrow at 3, we have our rally. We believe it's going to be the biggest in Texas. Y'all join us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be at a park. It's going to be at a great park right outside at Frisco City Hall. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have water. And you know what? We're going to be with people. We're going to be with people and enjoy it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have some music. We're going to have some speakers. It's going to be great. And you know what?
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask if you like.